Welcome to Deep Dive. I'm your host, Kevin Benedict, and I want to welcome everyone out there for joining us today. I'm just thrilled to be able to introduce today our guest, Alex Atzberger, who's president of SAP CX. Alex, thanks for joining us.
Kevin, awesome to be with you. Thanks for making the time with me.
Absolutely, and especially during earnings season and right before, as you're getting prepared for all that kind of stuff. So let's jump right into it. Where are you calling in from today, Alex?
Oh, Kevin, I'm lucky this week to be in my hometown, New York City. And in case you ask, this is not a New York accent, but I do live in New York City for the past 20 years.
Well, I think there's every accent in the world in New York City, right?
That's right. That makes it such a special place. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've had the chance to see you on stage and listen to a lot of your videos and other things in which you're presenting, but this is the first time face-to-face, if you would, through the virtual world. So again, thank you for giving us this time today. For those that don't know you, Alex, why don't you give us a little bit of your background?
Sure thing, Kevin. I've been incredibly lucky over the last 20 plus years in the tech industry. I started actually at a startup back in the day, in the .com days. It was one of these high-flying companies that wanted to change the world, create a marketplace, actually. Then ended up going over McKinsey to Harvard Business School, where I ended up writing a paper on Salesforce versus SAP in 2004. So that seems like a long time ago. That got me to SAP and in 2005. And at that point, I really was working on thinking through how cloud, and at that point we call it on-demand, would change the delivery and the entire business model for enterprise applications. I was very, very fortunate at SAP to have incredible mentors, incredible people to work with. I think SAP is a company of people that are outstanding. And I had the opportunity to work early on with Rob Enslin, who runs our cloud business group at SAP, executive board member when he was in Japan. And then I ended up working for Bill McDermott, now CEO of SAP, starting in 2007. And that really, gave me opportunities like, running our China plan in 2011, working on our corporate strategy, being chief of staff for Bill for a couple of years, and then taking over the Ariba business. We more than doubled that business very, very successfully. Now the leading platform for procurement, the leading cloud business network. And then the next mission was really to take on customer experience and bring multiple different pieces together at SAP to take on what is today the largest enterprise market, which is the CRM market, and lead the transformation of that CRM market into customer experience. And it's been a blast for the last year plus.
Oh, I bet. So it seems to me that both with SAP Ariba and with SAP CX, you have a mixed blessing. These are kind of new, at the time they were new areas for SAP, so you could leverage this big, well-known SAP brand, but at the same time, you're kind of battling the headwinds on how do you create a brand of your own in an area that SAP has not traditionally played. How do you leverage that there at SAP CX?
Yeah, Kevin, I like to say we're the biggest underdog that you have ever seen. We are a very big underdog in the space. But you see, the reason why I take these roles and what I do in the company is I am a transformation leader. I take things and I change them and I make them important for the business and I rally people behind it. I did this when we were in China. We made China our second home. That was the strategy at that point. Then we moved, when I moved to Ariba, I talked about making procurement awesome and really connecting with our customers and connecting also Ariba more into the fabric of the rest of SAP. And now this challenge is a different one because we have incredible assets. We have incredible technology. We have leading solutions. If you look at the Gartner research and others, top right corner, very, very successful capabilities. But to your point, the awareness is low in the marketplace. So it's really working with the rest of the SAP, with the 17th most recognized brand in the world, with the acquisitions that we've made, most recently, obviously, Qualtrics, which is such a leader in the CX and XM space, to change the conversation in the marketplace and get people rallied up behind it. And most importantly is, to get our customers excited about it, because, you can talk as much as you want from the mountaintop about something. As long as your customers are not telling that story, you don't have anything. And what excites me most now is to see customers who are actually saying, like, look, SAP is changing the way I relate to my customers. And I love that.
So talk us through, Alex, that that meeting, hypothetical meeting in which you guys were saying, okay, we need to be in the CRM space. How does a company like SAP go about creating a full portfolio of solutions in the CRM space from beginning to end? How's that actually accomplished?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Kevin. So I take you back, probably 2 years ago now, where the executive board of SAP made the decision to say, we need to double down again in the CRM space. And it was really coming from the realization that we follow as a company. SAP is the most comprehensive enterprise software company for any business. If you look at supply chain all the way to your digital core, if you look at your finance, if you look at your warehouses, if you look at every app, your HR, all aspects run on SAP. And so the part, though, is in order to remain relevant, everything starts with a customer. So, it was a clear realization that from a strategic point of view, you need to be on the customer side and you need to play in CX as a category. But then obviously there was the question, what's changing in the marketplace that gives us the permission to play? Why is it now that we can actually say we go after the CRM market? And by the way, SAP was always in the market, but it was with, an on-prem CRM. It obviously had hybrids, which is the commerce platform, market leading in B2B and B2C, but it wasn't yet, really saying like, look, we are going after this market. So looking at the base that we had, we actually laid out both an acquisitive roadmap as well as a development roadmap to actually say, what are the spaces that we want to actually occupy? And we started with a very, very critical acquisition, which was the acquisition of a company called Gigya for customer identity and customer content management. And what was so critical about that acquisition, and a lot of people didn't understand it in the beginning when we did it, was you need to have that unified customer master profile, and it needs to be actually, compliant, consent-based data. So GDPR came in as a double whammy on it. But that has been phenomenal, just from a growth market perspective. And the neat part is it also connects into every competitive solution. So it's very, very versatile. So we started with that piece. And then on top of it, we said, like, look, we need to connect that obviously into our commerce platform. But omni-channel is still an issue for companies. And sales and web is not aligned yet. So we needed to do something on the sales side. And we decided to buy Calidus Cloud. And Calidus Cloud was the next piece that actually gave us, the ability not to talk about sales in terms of documentation, but sales in terms of actually changing salespeople's behavior. Mm-hmm. And when you think about behaviors, it's about commissions, it's about the incentives, but how much time do they spend actually, creating proposals. And so then suddenly we're looking at all these signals that exist around a salesperson that actually can change their behavior. And we had a whole new vision for how the seller experience actually looks. And then the next piece was to say, like, look, we want to actually look at services. And then we went for Core Systems, which is a small company in Switzerland that's highly, highly innovative, to actually create an Uber-like marketplace for field services. So we built out these components, and we invested a ton into our account-based marketing, our own developed in-house marketing cloud solution. We hired a top-notch team behind it, and we actually really invested hundreds of resources to build out a very substantial marketing cloud. But AI-driven, highly based on HANA, highly targeted to actually address one-to-one marketing. So with that in mind, we build out really a sweet vision. So that was kind of like the steps we took, Kevin. And then when we came to Sapphire last year, which was May of 2018, we said, look, all the players out there talk about individual pieces. A lot of them do a great job. But you know what the problem is in customer experience? It's simply not a connected journey for the customer, nor are the processes inside a company connected. So what did we decide to do? We decided to compete on what SAP has been always successful in competing on, which is we simplify for the organization the way they actually deploy technology as a suite. We at the same time think about the outcome for the customer so that you actually have an omni-channel experience that's connected all the way from how you market to a customer to how you sell and service them, regardless of channel, and all of it is connected to one source of data that's consent-driven. That's the vision.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that's where you get the intelligent enterprise, isn't it? Where you have shared data sources, where you can look at the data and then you can start analyzing everything about a customer journey from beginning to end. Brilliant. So how
and Kevin,
yeah.
And Kevin, just on that point, because you're absolutely right, the intelligence is obviously data-driven, but it's also driven on the fact that as a customer, and I always put myself in the shoes of our customer's customer, and think about your own experiences. When do you have these experiences that are really good or really awful? It typically happens when things are not connected to the rest of the enterprise or when the supply chain fails down. I mean, think about how many times you order something and then something doesn't arrive on time. Think about the market leaders that actually have really invested in their supply chain. So it's not like you compete only on like, oh, how pretty is the website or how digital is the experience. No, you compete on the real stuff. And the real stuff is the physical. So connecting these worlds is something that is a huge opportunity for SAP and something that we clearly use in the marketplace when we talk to our customers and that our customers are excited about.
Brilliant. So you've taken these acquisitions and you've invested in engineering and development to pull them all together. Now, when you unwrap them today, what are the brands and how have you organized those solutions?
Yeah, Kevin, as I mentioned, we have acquired market-leading companies in each of these specific domains, categories, always looking at where's the market moving, what do we think is the future of, let's say, sales, what is the future of service, what's the future of marketing. So we want to be ahead. We are leapfrogging. We are not trying to play catch-up. There's already a Salesforce, there's already an Adobe. We don't need to be another one of those. We want to leapfrog the marketplace. So we looked at going forward. But what we did was also we simplified the way we actually refer to our portfolio. Because one of the challenges is, as a customer with SAP, and any technology buyer today, there's just too many words out there. That sometimes gets complicated. And it's easier for customers when they see comparability with other providers as well. So what we decided to do was basically launch 5 clouds. Each of these clouds basically describes what's in it with the word cloud. So you have an SAP Marketing Cloud, an SAP Sales Cloud, an SAP Service Cloud, an SAP Commerce Cloud, and a SAP Customer Data Cloud. Those are your 5. Yeah. And then we wrapped them up together and said you can either buy them individually or you can buy them as a suite. And if you buy them as a suite, we call it C for HANA. Now, C for HANA is a technical term. We named it this way because it's also aligned to S for HANA, which is the ERP. And then in the front office, you have C for HANA, which is really the 4th generation CRM system. That's the logic. It's simple as that.
Just when I thought you guys were going to be awesome at branding, you went back to a code.
We were so close. We were so close, Kevin. Yeah.
Very good. So talk to me about this experience economy that I hear a lot about being discussed at SAP. What does that mean to you, and how does that relate to your portfolio?
Yeah, so I think the experience economy, if you actually define it, and if you for a minute take on your hat of an academic and you say, like, look, what does experience economy actually mean? For me, it means that ultimately it's what do customers base their decisions on when they buy something. And there has been tremendous research and also factual economic work being done that actually lays out that customers spend more money with experiences rather than with commodities or products that don't have experiences. And you can actually look at the price index to see that. So, the more you're actually able to provide an experience, the more customers pay. Very simple example. You take a coffee bean. A coffee bean is cents. You turn that coffee bean into a regular coffee, a coffee powder, you pay a little bit more. You turn it into coffee, you can pay $1, but if you turn it into the experience, like some companies do, you can charge $5, and you can take this pretty much for every product. Now the challenge is, and I was yesterday with a big, shoe manufacturer and apparel manufacturer. The challenge is when you compete only on the product, you have a race to the bottom. Ultimately, consumers make choices based on other things than the actual experience with the company. So the whole point is it has to be about creating experiences to compete better in the marketplace and to differentiate yourself. So that's for me the experience economy, that realization. And then obviously there's the realization that if you don't create a great experience, customers will churn, will go away from your business. So the retention of a customer is much more profitable for companies than acquiring a new customer. And actually a 5% increase in retention creates a 95% increase in profitability. So just think about some of these numbers. So that's the conversation today in boardrooms where you say, like, look, how do we compete, not just on price and on features of a product, but how do we actually compete on actually providing a great experience? And then our role as a software provider is to help you create and deliver these great experiences and manage them. And this is why, and we can talk about why we made the acquisition of Qualtrics and how that impacts our portfolio. But you need to actually, first of all, know what's the experience my customers have. Because most companies think they provide a great experience. But if you ask their customers, you actually find out their experience is pretty horrible. Mm-hmm. And then you have this gap between what CEOs believe versus what customers actually experience. And our job is to close this experience gap.
Interesting. So talk to us about that Qualtrics acquisition. That was, it was certainly a boon for Utah, and it was just fascinating. So talk to us about what your motivations were and how you see it fitting in with everything.
Yeah. So the motivation is very, very simple. The company was about to go public. An incredible company, incredible financials, and incredible growth, incredible brands that work with them. From BMW to Porsche to Under Armour, you name them, unbelievable companies, JetBlue. And then we looked at the company, but we saw much more than a company that was just collecting customer feedback. It was really about analyzing the feedback and then propagating that information across the organization to actually make the entire company more customer-centric. And so the notion was this X data, we call it experience data, tells you why something is happening. And there are 1.7 billion data points that Qualtrics collects just on X data. And then you look at SAP having all what we call the operational data, the O data, and saying, like, look, if you connect these two pieces together, you can create actually new outcomes and you can actually create and deliver better customer experiences. A very simple example is, if you take a digital experience, a lot of our customers experience that customers drop off during the checkout process, a lot of times not knowing why this happens. If you can answer the why question, you can actually convert more customers into paying customers. Huge value, immediate value.
Oh, so absolutely. You've done all the work to bring them to your site. They've looked at the products. They've decided they like what they're seeing, and you lose them at the last moment. Absolutely. You've already spent all the money to get them there. If you could just improve that, absolutely. Huge advantage.
Yes. And Kevin, what the challenge today is a lot of this customer research that's being done. Of course, companies analyze this, but it's either done in small groups somewhere in the organization, so it's not really tied to a full customer experience transformation. Or the other thing that happens is it's done, but it's done over months of time. And by the time, the analysis is done, the customer has moved on. But what happens if we know that Kevin is on the site? Kevin didn't find the shipping option that he liked. Kevin departed the website, gave us feedback that this shipping option was missing. And we can immediately, out of our marketing solution and our commerce solution, trigger an alert to get you back into it because of a note that we sent you to come in, get a coupon, finish out the checkout process. These sort of things are the things that we want to activate in every organization, and that I think will drive tremendous growth and responsiveness and more customer centricity. And that's what customers really want to be, more customer centric.
Absolutely. You know, another one of those changes that are happening in sales and marketing is this increasing move that vendors are taking into the subscription economy. And so that's going to change the models a lot of traditional CRMs were following, where it was a once and done sale, and then you can move on, because now, you know, the sale must continue forever. It's the entire life cycle of a customer. How are you guys, you know, addressing that?
In a couple of ways. I mean, first of all, the trend has been going on for a couple of years now, from products really turning into services. And I think it's perfectly consistent with the description of the experience economy, because services tend to be higher value than products, and experiences are higher value than services. Yeah? So I think it's very much aligned. Obviously, in our business itself, Kevin, this was one of the key reasons why we, for instance, acquired Qualtrics, because at SAP itself, we moved from being a product-centric company selling on-premise licenses to becoming a service-centric company selling subscriptions. So that is a perfect example of a company that went through the transition. What we had to do is we had to be able to actually quote multiple different business models. A lot of our customers need to do the same, because they're not just suddenly a subscription company. They are actually both. Yeah? Then you need to be able to actually invoice and collect, bill your customer on a regular basis. Then you need to ensure that you obviously change your commissions and how you actually pay your salespeople based on the subscription plans you put in place. Then you need to ensure that you stay in touch with the customer around the deployment and actually the service usage, and you can track the metering, how much the service is being used. Then you need to be able to actually, you know, again, create a customer success scenario that they don't churn and they come back to you. And if you look at this entire process, it's not just about billing or not just about one aspect. It's about actually transforming towards a subscription business mindset. And what we have done in our solutions is, number one, incorporated subscription billing as part of our billing solution. We actually do this for the largest telcos in the world to the smallest companies. So this is a big, big business for us. And the second piece is, you know, we partnered with Tango, which is a customer success platform, to give, you know, customer success teams the capabilities to collect data from their customers to actually better manage, you know, attrition and better manage customer success going forward. But what we now do with Qualtrics is now we add the experience data. And that actually gives you an even better prediction of churn in the future. So bringing these pieces together around this notion about subscription economy is you know, super powerful. But it's much more than just the subscription itself. Sometimes people get very bogged down on the actual billing type. It's not so much that you just bill somebody differently. It's actually how you actually incent your entire sales team, even how you think about job descriptions for your salespeople. And that's obviously where, you know, our commissions platform, what we do in our sales cloud, fits perfectly.
Thank you for sharing that, Alex. So I attend usually the SAP CX conferences, the CX Live conferences. I attend SAP Sapphire conferences. This year, they're coming together. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's super exciting for us, Kevin. It's the first time we're doing this. It's a bold experiment. I like to be bold. And the idea is that, you know, if you attend Sapphire, there's going to be a separate event, you know, in walking distance, but a separate venue with a separate look and feel, which is CX Live. And so what we want to accomplish is that, you know, attendees from Sapphire that are typically more IT-centric take along the CMO, take along the chief digital officer, take on the head of sales, and say, like, look, there's something that's really for you, really focused on the front office, you know, the customer-facing functions. And then obviously, you know, for all the customers that were part of Qualtrics Gig Years community, you know, they need a conference as well that they come to, and that's what we bring together at CX Live separately. So it's going to be a great show. It's going to be fantastic for people to get really a sense for the breadth of SAP, but also how deep we can go in CX. So we're excited for it. It's all happening May 7th to 9th in Orlando, Florida.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. I want to thank you for sharing your insight, the background, giving us a vision forward around SAP CX. And I look forward to seeing you this year at CX Live. Thank you very much, Alex.
Kevin, it was my pleasure. Thank you.